It's the start of winter now, so it's time to start thinking about mulching. How, when, and what exactly is a garden mulch, and what do I use in my UK tropical garden? I've been busy out in the garden today, cleaning up the garden of all the filler plants and getting rid of the last of the persicaria and the crocosmia. But this has left me with spaces which I don't really like in the garden. We are now really down to the bare bones throughout the winter months with just the evergreens here. I go through the garden every winter mulching different parts. I don't do it all at once as this would be too much work. So let's look at the 4 main reasons on why I mulch my garden. Well, it reduces water evaporation from the soil. It also helps to insulate the soil, keeping the roots warm in the winter and cooler in the summer months. And it adds air and water movement through the soil. And it also helps to keep the weeds at bay. You can mulch at any time of the year, but most people either do it in the summer or the winter, and that depends on what mulch you use. I do mine in the winter months, as in the summer months I already feed my plants with chicken manure pellets and diluted liquid seaweed. In the winter months, I like to mulch my garden with landscape bark. This is the one that I tend to buy, and I bought 3 packs. I also had a look at the plants while I was there. There was plenty of evergreens, but I'm not here to look at the plants today. But I was taken in with these beautiful hellebores in the clearance section, and they were down to only £6 each. So I did buy 2 of them. As a rule of thumb, if you are mulching in the winter months, then just remember that the plants aren't actively growing. Therefore, they don't need a nutrient-rich mulch. But if you are mulching in the summer months, you can use a thick layer of garden compost, spent mushroom compost, or leaf mould, as this will actively feed the plants when the plants need it most. But just remember that if you are using the spent mushroom compost, don't use it on ericaceous plants such as azaleas or rhododendrons. However, spent mushroom compost is really good at working the soil, especially if it's clay soil, as it helps to break down the thick clay and really add a nice soil conditioner into the earth. These are the 2 hellebore plants that I bought yesterday in B&Q for half price. And these are called hellebore tutu, and they are really a good size, and they're in good condition too, considering they were in the clearance section. I think the hardest part of the winter gardening is waiting for a dry enough day to be able to get out here and get some jobs done. But it's raining today, so hopefully it's just a shower and I'll be able to crack on and get on with some mulching pretty soon. This is the small triangular bed just up by the back door, and this area has also never been mulched, and it's very early this year, but you can actually see in there some of the crocosmia are already coming through the ground. But don't worry, just by adding a little bit of wood chip bark onto this, it will help to protect it throughout the winter, and the plants will always find a way to come through the bark. My oval bed, that was mulched only last year, and you can see that the wood chips are still there. I've got a small hellebore there in the centre, and they have broken down now after a year, and hopefully these will add to give a lot of nutrients into the soil. So this is the part of the garden that I want to get mulched today. I've never done this area of the garden, and it's about time that it had a little bit of a duvet placed down for the winter. Right, so let's open this pack and see what this mulch looks like inside the bag. It's always quite tightly packed, and then just throw it onto the garden. It's always quite difficult to get out. So lay it down as thickly as you can, and you want to be aiming for at least a good 2 to 3 inches thick. Right, so I've placed the mulch now down on the ground, and I'm just using a hoe just to get it as level as I can for the time being. A rake would be better, but that's a bit of out of reach really at the back of the shed, so I'm just using what I've got to hand, and just try and keep the mulch just a few inches away from the base of the trees, and just cover all of the ground with a lovely thick layer. And just think of this now as an extra blanket for the winter months. So I have used now 2 of those large bags, and I've managed to do this centre bed here. And if we just move along, you will see that underneath there I've just added the 2 hellebores, because that was quite empty under there. And I've also got some hellebores over that side. So I've given this now a good mulch, and that now should be okay for the next year or so. I've just added a little bit that was left over into this oval bed here. And the trouble is that it gets dark so early now. It's only about 3:30 in the afternoon, but already it's getting quite dark. So that's about as much as I can do today. When I get another dry day, I will come out here and just rake over the top of this, just to sort of level it out a little bit. But for the moment, that's a job well done. And that now has got a lovely thick layer all over the earth. the triangular bed. I've got one bag left over for that, and maybe this one can be done this weekend when I've got a little bit more time. Well, thank you so much for joining me in the garden today, and I hope you've learned something about the winter mulching, and maybe you'll have a go now at trying it in your garden. And until next time, I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.